Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threat to the Civil War. And 2 years ago, COVID had shut down, our businesses were closed, our schools. I think the people sent us a clear message to restore the soul of this nation, to rebuild the backbone of America. COVID no longer controls our lives. Our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken. We've been sent here to finish the job. The story of America is a story of progress and resilience, of always moving forward, of never, ever giving up. And there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together.
Tonight, a fired-up President Biden addressing both chambers of Congress in his State of the Union address.
His major messages: bipartisanship, growing jobs, and pushing the economy forward. And the president repeatedly urged Congress on. Let's finish the job, he said, we started 2 years ago. We have live team coverage for you tonight. Denver 7 chief investigative reporter Tony Kovaleski doing some fact-checking on some of the claims made by the president.
Let's start with political reporter Megan Lopez with some of the highlights from Biden's speech. Megan, there were plenty of policy wins for the administration this past year, but tonight was very much about his vision for the country moving forward.
Very much so, Ann. The president called for Congress to raise taxes on wealthy Americans and corporations. He called for Congress to pass the Junk Prevention Act to save people money, and the PRO Act to give people the right to form a union, more child tax credits, and really more. A big agenda, big promises that would be difficult for any president to accomplish.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
For the first time in front of a divided Congress, President Biden delivered a fiery address.
Fighting for the sake of fighting, power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere.
Speaking for more than an hour about everything from the war in Ukraine to the economy, calling for unity, but at times using divisive language, even bickering with hecklers over things like taxes.
Zero? Folks, it's simply not fair.
On the economy, the president painted a rosy picture of a post-COVID rebound.
An unemployment rate is at 3.4%, a 50-year low.
Colorado's unemployment a little better at 3.3% currently, admitting inflation is high, but once again striking a positive tone.
Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up.
But in the Republican rebuttal afterward, a very different economic outlook.
Forgive me for not believing much of anything I heard tonight from President Biden. From out-of-control inflation and violent crime to the dangerous border crisis and threat from China.
Here at home, inflation is at 6.9%, and Colorado Republicans say the president didn't address it enough.
People here in Colorado, we know the truth because we feel it every day, and we did not hear that truth in the speech tonight.
One of the more contentious moments of the night, the president's gun reform proposals.
Ban assault weapons now. Ban them now.
That's something Colorado lawmakers might try to tackle on their own this year that Republicans on a state and national level oppose. The president also spoke briefly about the opioid epidemic.
Let's launch a major surge to stop fentanyl production and the sale and trafficking with more drug detection machines, inspection cargo, stop pills and powder at the border.
Colorado is the second highest state in the nation with increase in overdose fentanyl deaths.
In 2021, 1,258 people in Colorado died from opioid overdoses. Last year, the state legislature passed a law to crack down on fentanyl distribution and made knowingly possessing 1 gram or more a felony. In that lengthy speech, the president laid out a list of progressive bills to pass, from tech to taxes. But all of that will be tough, if not impossible, to tackle in this divided Congress.
The Biden administration seems more interested in woke fantasies than the hard reality Americans face every day.
Nevertheless, in the end, a declaration.
The State of the Union is strong.
But that depends on who you ask. Now, there was some heckling during tonight's speech from people inside the room. It was mainly coming from Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene, who called the president at times a liar. Republicans and Democrats obviously had very different takes on tonight's speech. Now we'll watch to see what Congress decides to do with all the tasks they were assigned. Guys?
We certainly will. All right. Thank you, Megan.
Thanks, Megan.
And let's bring in now Tony Kovaleski, digging deeper into claims made by the president tonight that are raising questions.
So, Tony, the president's agenda certainly was in focus, but parts of the speech tonight on things like wages, a budget deficit, need some context here.
Yes, they do, Ann and Shannon. Let's begin, though, with a couple of facts. The president spent the most time tonight addressing the economy, a total of 8.5 minutes. His second highest priority by time spent was the infrastructure. taking up a little over 5 minutes of his speech. In all, the president receiving more than 50 standing ovations in his 72-minute address to the nation.
The President of the United States.
Early in his second State of the Union, President Biden talked about take-home pay.
Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up.
Our fact check discovered this statement needed more context. While wages have outpaced inflation for the last 2 quarters, that increase is only starting to compensate for wages eaten away by inflation during the early years of Biden's presidency. The president also addressed the deficit.
In the last 2 years, my administration has cut the deficit by more than $1.7 trillion.
Our fact check finds this also needs context. Biden's fiscal policies were not the only reason for the reduction. Most of the decline, according to the Committee for Responsible Federal Budget, can be attributed to the end of pandemic spending.
30 million workers have to sign non-compete agreements with the jobs they take. 30 million. So a cashier at a burger place can't walk across town and take the same job at another burger place and make a few bucks more.
Our fact check found this to be a completely false statement. While McDonald's did prevent employees from getting hired away by other McDonald's restaurants in the past, that has since changed. It's a fact that fast food employees are not required to sign non-compete agreements. Yes, they can flip burgers across the street. The president also addressed the assault weapon ban.
In 10 years, that ban was law, mass shootings went down. After we let it expire in the Republican administration, mass shootings tripled.
This is simple. Our fact check finds the president's statement completely true. The president wrapped up his address cheerleading for unity, optimism, and hope, asking everyone to unite as fellow Americans.
Democracy must not be a partisan issue. It's an American issue.
Addressing the growing political divide between Democrats and Republicans, President Biden challenged all of us to see each other not as enemies, but instead as fellow Americans. Tonight's State of the Union was 11 minutes longer than last year's speech. Ann?
Tony, thank you. And in anticipation of Biden's decision on whether to run for president again in 2024, his accomplishments, which he highlighted tonight, are being overshadowed. Taking a look closer now, according to political analysts at 538, the president's popularity continues to struggle. 52% of those polled disapprove of Biden's performance as president, and skepticism among Democrats also hangs overhead. A new poll from the Associated Press shows only 37% want Biden to seek a second term. That is down from 52% before the November midterm elections. And Biden has still not formally announced his campaign for re-election, but at the Democratic National Committee's meeting last week, he said he intends to get more done.
And President Biden's going to be in Wisconsin tomorrow, reinforcing tonight's message on how his economic plan has created jobs in that region and across the U.S. Also, you can watch tonight's entire State of the Union address right now on Denver7.com. We also have it streaming for you on our free Denver 7 Plus app.